Hey, what's up guys? Jessica J here. I'm a full service independent escort from Brisbane, Australia. I'm the host of the Latex Files podcast and I create content on TikTok and Instagram. Today I'm coming to you from the comfort of my couch. I couldn't be bothered sitting on the floor like I normally do. I've just come off a booking with a client that I did 3 overnights with in a row. So I'm a little bit more tired than usual. So I just want to relax, but I know that I need to bring some more content. So here we are. So today I wanted to have a conversation with you about a couple of different perspectives that I've been hearing about in the industry from like both sides, from the client side and from the provider's side. Now, from the client side, the dialogue or discourse can be summed up in the phrase, it's too hard to find a reputable worker, or it's too hard to find a good provider these days. And from the worker's side, there's very much a discourse of, there's not as many new clients out there. It's not as busy as it has been in previous years. It's just, the industry is not what it used to be. So I'm going to give my 2 cents, I guess, on both sides of the equation for why I think these things are happening, why these statements are being made, why these sentiments are being felt on both sides, and what I think, not what I think what needs to be done about it, because I don't know that anything can be done about it, but just to give you, I guess, my insight into the trends and how I see things going. Now, putting myself in the client's shoes, I think what clients are experiencing these days is a little bit of decision fatigue and also a reluctance or reticence to be scammed or have their time wasted. So I think now when you go online and you're trying to find a worker like me, clients are kind of overwhelmed with choice. There's more choice now, but you'll hear clients say, oh, it's really hard to find workers. Well, no, it's very easy to find workers. The difficulty is that there's just so much, you get decision fatigue. It's like when you go to grocery shopping, if there's too much choice, there actually have been studies on this, right? If there's too much choice for the consumer becomes essentially overwhelmed and the task at hand is way too difficult. So there's definitely more profiles online, and I was just recently speaking to another provider, a male worker actually, and he was saying the amount of like ads that he's seeing like from males, new entrants into the industry, and he doesn't know if they're legit or not. Like, it's a lot, and I would certainly agree with that on the lady side as well. So I think clients are really experiencing quite a bit of decision fatigue. They're clicking on like wherever they are, whatever major city, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, and they're going through the sort of plethora of available ads, and it's kind of overwhelming to figure out, okay, who's legit, who's not. I think what compounds this issue, unfortunately, are the amount of the duplicate and triplicate profiles of the same worker. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, these are the type of workers that are often, I'm really sorry to say, here on like student visas. They're here for maybe a short time, or just, maybe they are Australian. Typically they're not though. Typically they're from overseas. They're here for a short time. They're typically working under like an agent. They're here for a short term, like cash grab, to make their money, get in, get out, not terribly interested in like building a name or reputation for themselves necessarily. You will see the same woman across 2 or 3 different ads and having like different sets of photos essentially. So it's the same woman, but different photos. That obviously creates some confusion for the client. And if they do see it and figure this out, it clogs up the feed, and then, reputable ads like myself get pushed further down. It clogs up the feed. Another thing that's sort of happening with the amount of profiles are profiles that are really there to try to sell digital content, and they really should be housed in a digital services only advertisement, but they're not. So these workers are ostensibly providing in-person services. That's what they're holding themselves out as, providing in-person services. But actually, when you get in touch with them, they're asking you to chat to them through their Spicy page, or they're sending you a link to something. Like, they're not actually doing in-person work. They're actually trying to sell you an online product or an online subscription. So that's not what those websites are made for. And again, it pushes reputable workers to the bottom. And look, I've even engaged with clients that are really great clients, and they've said to me that they have booked workers that, you know, were from had other backgrounds sort of thing, and they go there for the service, and it's like, can't even communicate sort of thing, you know. The ad is written for them. The ad is written very well. It's written for them, and when push comes to shove, they don't have a good time because they just cannot communicate. They're there to do the in-out part of it, and that's not really necessarily like what they're looking for. And the worker is there for a short time, and they're not necessarily interested in like providing an amazing experience. So on the provider side, I hear them saying, you know, there's not as many new clients. It's more difficult to get bookings these days. Like, they would say, oh, my phone used to be so busy. Now it's not so busy at this time of year, even though it's the lead into Christmas. Like, what's going on? And in a client's defense, I would say, well, they're fatigued by having to go through and like try to weed through all the crap and weed through all the scams. And maybe they've had bad in-person experiences that have really turned them off. And they go, you know what, it's just easier to like keep my money, and money is more valuable to clients these days. Like, let's be real, our current economic state is just not as good as it has been, you know, a decade ago. You know, workers will talk about the conditions from like a decade ago and how great it was and how they were making money hand over fist. Well, you didn't have advertising pages that were literally just clogged with duplicate and triplicate profiles of workers that just can't communicate ultimately with clients, workers that aren't doing in person, but they're scamming clients, trying to get them to subscribe to certain things or give them credit card details. You didn't have all that. And the client's dollar is more meaningful to that client now. Like, clients have less disposable income. So in their defense, they just want to they just go, well, it's too hard. They throw their hands up in the air and they decide to self-pleasure. Or what I think is really happening for me, and I'm just so grateful and thankful to have this support. I've never been as busy, you know, in my career as an escort, but it's more with a core group of like semi-regular clients, regular or semi-regular clients that will book these longer type of bookings with me. So I have noticed that my phone is not as busy as it was. You know, I'm coming to you now, I'm recording this video in November, and I remember November last year, my phone was for short notice availability. I would put my phone on for short notice availability, and it's likely I would, you know, get some activity happening. It's not as busy as it was even last year. I think one of the positives, I suppose, with all of like the difficulty that clients are experiencing finding good reputable workers is, if you are a good reputable one and you are willing to get out there and like pound the pavement and find these guys and like do the most, like within, you know, the reasonable sort of limits of your sanity and your physicality, your body and everything, not underselling yourself, but doing what you need to do to hang on to the clients that support you. They don't want to try something new. Like, I'll speak to clients of mine and I go, oh, you know, have you seen anyone else? It might be like a couple of months, 3 months, 4 months since they've seen me. Have you seen anyone else in the meantime? Like, it's been a long time since. And they'll say, no, I don't want to risk. And these are good clients that will book me for like maybe multi-hour bookings or overnights or things like that. They go, you know what? I've been there, done that. And I just really now just want to see you, or it might be, you know, you and another person or something like that. I don't want to try and go and risk and take all the time and pay the money and just have a substandard experience or get scammed or whatever. Like, I would just prefer to have a long time between drinks and just support the one worker. Or if they're hopefully a regular sort of thing, they just want to see the one woman. I think there's way more of that happening now. Whereas I think the trend previously, sort of over the years previously, has been a lot more like spur of the moment, like guys having a look at the ads in the spur of the moment, finding someone new, finding someone exciting. I think there is definitely a bit of a reluctance on the part of the client or prospective client to go through that whole exercise and run the risk of having a scam happen to them or having a subpar experience. So I think that presents a lot of hardship for workers in the industry. But I also do think it does present some opportunities for the type of worker who has a very good grasp on what clients are really desiring and how to make them feel special and seen and cared for. And the type of clients like myself who really do thrive in even doing a small number of bookings a week, not really doing like volume, a small number of bookings, but maybe longer bookings, and those that really do rely on their personality a lot as well, because it's no longer the case. Like, I'm nowhere near the best looking on those websites. Like, there are girls there who look like just fantastic, but clients aren't necessarily, I don't think they're necessarily spending a lot of money, like as much money on that before as they used to. I think the looks and appearance was a lot more, and the photos were a lot more important some time ago. Now it's definitely, I think, more personality driven and service driven. It's not as easy. Like, I think a lot of the workers are talking about how easy the money used to flow, how easy it was to get new clients and entice them and whatever. Like, it was easier to make money. It's not easy like that now. You have to do a lot more to build that strong client base. And you're really, I think, more relying on your regular supportive clients than ever, because that constant foot traffic is not really happening. And I'm even hearing that in the establishments, like the establishment settings, that the foot traffic even going through the establishments is just nowhere near what it was previously. So again, that presents a lot of hardship for workers, but for some workers, and I hope that it continues. I hope that it's me and continues to be me. It does present a lot of opportunity, because I'm finding it very easy, not easy, but doable, to hang on to the clients that I do have that are very supportive. And I'm seeing a reluctance in the clients that I have to go out and bother trying someone new. It's easier for me to sort of hang on to them than ever. And if they do try others, often it's very much like I'm not losing them to someone else because they're having a good experience with me, or maybe they're engaging with others in the industry and they're like, a lot of this is like scammy. I turned up and I couldn't communicate with her properly, even though the texting and everything was all in English, whatever. We had to whip out the Google Translate. And so they go, nah, I've tried, I'm too scared, I'm just coming back to you. So yeah, that's good for me. Maybe not so good for the consumer, and not so good for some of the workers in the industry, particularly more like volume workers and shorter term entrants to the industry. Well, do let me know if you found this conversation interesting. Have a chat in the comments below. I will do my best to answer. I can't always get around to it for a couple of different reasons, which I won't get into, but I do see them, I do read them, and even though I may not be able to respond, I definitely appreciate the engagement. Thank you so much.